Hey everyone, welcome back to AFTV. It's me and Robbie here outside the Emirates Stadium. This is where Arsenal will be hosting Newcastle, match week 17 of the Premier League. Obviously, we normally be a little bit further down the line at this point in the season because it's, we're now early January, of course. Happy New Year, by the way, to everyone.
Happy New Year, yeah.
But it's Newcastle who come to town. It's our first time we're facing them this season after...
Big game.
It's a massive game. Obviously, we've got revenge on the minds after what happened in the last season, but probably bigger things now with this title race really heating up more than ever.
Yeah, listen, revenge, you could say revenge, but I don't think that's what the players are going to be looking at. I think they're going to be looking at, let's just keep this run going, you know what I mean? We've returned back from, the World Cup and we're still looking strong. That was kind of the worrying thing. How are we going to come back after the World Cup? Well, they've answered that emphatically, you know what I mean? 3 goals against West Ham at home and 4 away from home at Brighton. And playing the same sort of way and the same sort of style in which we've been playing all season. So it's a big game because Newcastle have also been a team this season that have been playing brilliant football, a really confident team, but their confidence was slightly knocked, you know what I mean, because they sort of suffered a setback in that 0-0 draw against Leeds, which everybody would have expected them to win. So is that going to knock them a little bit, their confidence-wise, coming here to the Emirates? It's going to be a really, really interesting game. But certainly, normally we play Newcastle. You're looking at it as a sort of at home, one of those sort of games that everybody's just coming here saying, assuming that we're going to win. But now this is a huge game because they are a very, very good side. Yeah, well, in a sec
we'll actually touch on Arsenal's record against Newcastle because by that last game at St James's Park, it's been faultless for almost 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
And actually, this is a very, very different Newcastle coming here. Not just some of the players they've got, like Gamara's in midfield. Obviously, Joe Willock returned. He's been doing very well there. But just the trajectory they've been, obviously, since the takeover and Eddie Howe coming in, this is a club that have been... We knew at some point, quite soon, they'd be knocking on the door top 4 and maybe challenging for the title. We didn't think that actually Newcastle in title contention would be mentioned so early, in this Eddie Howe takeover. But they've been superb this season.
No, absolutely superb. And, Eddie Howe's been getting the best out of the players that he's got, as well as bringing in quality. You mentioned Bruno Guimaraes, absolutely top quality player. Remember, we wanted him
He'd have been so
here,
good for us.
And I remember Newcastle mocking us about that, but we have got Odegaard now, so behave yourselves. But he is a top quality player that would definitely have fitted into this Arsenal team. But then also he's got the best out of players like Almiron. Who's been. We've seen how electric, Martinelli's been for us this season. For them, it's been Almiron. He's been brilliant. So they've got a lot of threats right throughout their team. That if you don't, take them seriously, if you don't guard against it, you'll be in big problems. And they the last time they were on the road against Leicester, they were very impressive. They sort of done a similar job to like what we did at Brighton, where they just demolished them early on in the game. So we're going to have to be on it. They're a very good, they all know what they're doing. They're a very aggressive side, Joe Linton and players like that. So this is a big, big test for Arsenal.
Not only do they boast, I think, the best defensive record in the league. Obviously, they added Sven Botman in the summer. Cher's been doing well. Dan Burn came last January. He's been playing left back. They've got some really good players. That's right. Gamara's as well at the base there. But they've also got some real returning quality. We know Callum Wilson went to the World Cup. He was on the bench against Leeds. So Maximan, who's been out injured, looks like he might potentially be available. They're kind of getting... Yeah, Wood, he's scored against his penalty against Leicester. Okay, Isaac's probably unavailable, but they've got some real returning quality that can cause Arsenal problems.
Trippier, right throughout their team. So we're gonna face a big test there. But, we're at home. We haven't lost the game here this season. The fans are going to recognise how big a game this is.
Yeah.
All eyes are going to be on this game, and we're in a great position. They are one of the teams chasing us down. They dropped points the other day, but if we can win this game, we then start to open up a bigger gap on them as well.
Yeah.
Because people almost talking about Newcastle like they're not in a title hunt. They are.
Yeah.
They're right. They're only a point behind Man City. So it's about getting a win against them and putting some distance between us and them as well. And Yeah, I think this is a vitally important game for us.
Completely agree. Let's have a little look at some of the details around the game, as we always do. Of course, where have they gone? Here we are. Emirates Stadium, as you know, we're out here, our 60,000 seater ground. It's a 7:45 kickoff. It's actually a whole week of Premier League football, depending on when you're watching this. Brentford are facing Liverpool, and then towards the end of the week, we've got Chelsea hosting Manchester City. So that's a big one we'll keep an eye on. You know, and obviously if we do the job here, then that's one we're even more keeping an eye on. And it's looking like it's going to be Andy Madley refereeing the game, and the current league table sees Arsenal top on 43 points and Newcastle in third. So, you know, they've done a really good job closing that gap. And I mean, who'd have thought they'd be Arsenal and Newcastle we'd be talking about at these ends of the table?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. You wouldn't have thought you'd be talking about either of us, but we are. You know what I mean? That's the reality of the situation. And we are in a title race. You know what I mean? And, you know, that's the mentality that the team, I'm sure, is going to go into this with. You know,
does that add a pressure, Robbie? Like when I watched Brighton, the thing that impressed me so much about the Brighton performance was Arsenal didn't look like they had that weight of title expectation on them. And you know, with City dropping points in the hour before, you know, that could really have played on their minds.
I think this team know. They won't come out and say it publicly, which is a sensible thing to do, because we've seen what Man City have done over the years, where their ability to chase down teams, etc. But I think that every one of those Arsenal players know we're in a title race.
Yeah,
they know it. They know that they want it. They know that they don't want to let it slip. They know what they're in, right? So the pressure is there. The pressure is there, but they're handling the pressure brilliantly.
Yeah,
they're handling the pressure brilliantly. The mentality of the players is there, you know what I mean? You know, there's players like Ben White, you know what I mean? He just doesn't get flustered, does he?
know.
Right?
Yeah.
He's just always calm, you know? But they know what they're in. They know what they're in. Now, listen, there's still a way to go, you know what I mean? We're not even quite halfway through the season yet. But we are in a fantastic position, and, you know, I think last year, you know, the second half of the season, we played very, very well in the second half of the season. Until we got to that sort of major stutter against, you know, Newcastle was one of them.
Yeah.
You know, we were playing good football. They don't want to repeat that. They want to learn from these mistakes that they made last year and keep that run going. And I think this team, from what I've seen so far this season, have the capability of doing that. I do think, you know, January is going to be an important month for us, not just on the pitch, but what we do in signings. But they know how important this is. They know, and they know this is, you know, they know, and the fans that are coming in know this is a big game.
You're right.
It's a big game.
You're right about momentum and the run and how calm they've been, because it's reflected in our last 5 games. I mean, the Arsenal 5-0 win against Forest, the 1-0 win at the Bridge, the 2-0 win against Wolves, the 3-1 win against West Ham, and a 4-2 win against Brighton. That's our last 5. The game before those 5 was the draw with Southampton. So since that draw, they've put together another really impressive run. And they've been able to do this under Arteta. Even going back to last season, when Arsenal do have a bad game or two, or sometimes it would stretch to 3, but rarely, Arsenal did have that ability to bounce back. So there is a mentality, there is a mental strength to this team
100%.
that gives us a confidence as fans.
Yeah, and there's some very important players that, you know, if they have a good game, we have a good game. And I think, you know, we've seen how important Martin Odegaard is. Outstanding again the other day against Brighton. 2 man of the match performances for me in a row. Brilliant. Thomas Partey, who's been excellent as well. I think I saw a stat the other day that, you know, over 90% of the games that he starts in, we win.
Wow.
You know, he's so important and so vital to this team. So we've got some superb players in there, and you know, and then let's credit Eddie Nketiah, who's come in, you know, 2 goals in 2 games. You know, who'd bet against him scoring again? You know, and I know Newcastle, obviously, like you said, they've got the best defensive record in the Premier League, but we score goals. Our last 2 games, we scored 7 goals, and Arsenal haven't failed to score in any Premier League game this season.
Wow.
You know, so we score goals. You know what I mean? So yeah, there's going to be a, you know, It's gonna be a great game. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm buzzing for the game. I'm buzzing for every game for Arsenal right now.
No,
you know
I know what you mean. They're coming thick and fast, as you can see. You know, it feels like we were just enjoying Brighton. Next thing we're here recording another preview. But I think we're enjoying it. I can't wait for tomorrow night. You mentioned all those players. Who's your one to watch?
Odegaard's the one to watch for me. You know, I mean, he's pulling the strings just like they got Guimaraes. We've got Odegaard. He's pulling the strings for Arsenal at the moment. You know, if he does what he's been doing in the last couple of games, I think we're going to be all right. He's been absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, he has been.
So, yeah, Odegaard's the one to watch for me for Arsenal for 100%.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think Eddie's got a tough job with Shah and Botman having been brilliant. But yeah, largely I think, Odegaard, if he ticks, Arsenal tick. Let's just remind ourselves of some other things going into the game. Just brilliant when your phone doesn't want to unlock because you're trying to record a preview, isn't it? Newcastle's last 5, a win against Villa 4-0. They won at Southampton 4-1. They beat Chelsea 1-0 going into the World Cup break. They then won 3-0 at Leicester on their return, and it was a 0-0 draw with Leeds, but lots of clean sheets in their last 5. Arsenal's head-to-head record, we know about that 2-0 defeat at the end of last season, but otherwise a 2-0 win, a 2-0 win, a 3-0 win, and a 4-0 win.
Yeah, Arsenal, the old Newcastle.
That's the thing. This isn't like where normally you can go, we've got a good record against this team and this club, this place. It's very, very different.
I remember
even a year on.
I remember before Chelsea got all that money, we used to be like, that was like a standard win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then that quickly changed. So it's a different Newcastle now, but it's a different Arsenal as well.
It is. It absolutely is. On the injury front, we know Gabriel Jesus still out. Emil Smith-Rowe, we're not sure. Very close, according to Arteta.
Yeah, I don't think he'd be in the squad, but he's saying he's very close.
Yeah.
Maybe a shout for him in the FA Cup game.
Yeah,
maybe a shout for him, but I think this will come too early for him.
Well, let me ask you about Aaron Ramsdale, because we saw him holding his hamstring. He didn't look comfortable. We did see out the game.
His hamstring.
He does do that a lot. But listen, he saw out the game, which suggests he's probably fine, and nothing's been said. Yeah. But that is one I'm just keeping a little eye on, because sometimes these things they tense up.
I've seen him do that. I've seen him do that before, though. Like hold his hamstring, look like he's injured. I think he's going to be all right. And if he's not. We see Matt Turner at the World Cup.
Yeah,
he's a very able goalkeeper, you know what I mean? And even when he came in the Europa League, he's looked decent, So, I trust that if Ramsdale's out, that he come in and do a good job. But listen, Ramsdale is a very important player for this Arsenal team, and I'm one of the heartbeats of this team. So you don't want to see him out, We just want to keep these players injury free, And then we're going to have a good season.
Completely agree. Guys, that's been the preview. I can't wait for it. Arsenal versus Newcastle.
You know what the predictions?
I tried to avoid that. I don't like the jinx. Go on. What have you going for?
I'll give you my prediction. I'm going to go for... it's a tough one though, isn't it?
I did go 1-0 on Forever Arsenal. Tight game.
I'm going to go 2-0. I'm going to go 2-0, even though Newcastle have scored a lot of goals at late, but they did draw 0-0 in their last game. Also have to tighten up the defence. We got very sloppy towards the end of that Brighton game.
We really did.
But again, it's hopefully one of those ones where we learn from that. So I'm going to go 2-0 to Arsenal, but it's going to be a tough game. Yeah,
I've gone 1-0 because, again, experiencing it. I'm expecting something tight. I'm expecting it to be Arsenal to play well, maybe a little awkward trying to break them down, but I trust the boys to find a way.
Tough game.
All right, guys, we're going to leave it there. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this preview. Go check out all the other content looking ahead to this game. Forever Arsenal's out, box to box, all that kind of stuff. It's Arsenal versus Newcastle here at the Emirates Stadium. A chance to extend our lead to 10 points on Man City before they go to the bridge. That's it. This is what chasing titles about, It's every game feels like a final, feels like it's got high stakes, and listen, we're enjoying the ride. Let's hope the players are too. I'm sure they are. Come on, Arsenal, let's get that win.
Shop for AFTV merch at shop.aftv.co.uk. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, and Twitch. We've got content for every platform, so check it out.